So here's a clip. I was on Joy Behar's show, and I really enjoy doing Joy's show because they always bring on Republicans and Republican, sort of consultants who, it's just fun to watch these guys try and argue. And so here is Ron Christie, who, like you said, was an aide, I think, to Dick Cheney and to George Bush and a lobbyist and whatnot. And we're talking about Jim DeMint, who was a senator, who is still a senator from South Carolina, but is moving over to the Heritage Foundation. So listen to this clip, and then we'll talk about it.
Let's talk about Senator Jim DeMint because he resigned. Yeah, I sort of like it. I mean, the guy is anti-choice, anti-gay marriage. He believes openly gay people and women who have babies out of wedlock shouldn't be teaching. I say good riddance to this guy. What do you say, Ron?
I like him a lot. I think he's pro-life. He's a very nice guy. Here's a shock for you.
Yeah.
But look, the one thing I like about Jim DeMint is that he always said, I am not going to go to Washington to enrich myself. I'm going to stay in the House for a couple of terms. You can laugh, but it's true. He stayed in the House for a couple of terms and he left.
And now he's staying in Washington and getting $1 million a year, salary to head the Heritage Foundation as a base salary. He's also going to be able to go out and maximize his profits on his books. He's going to get speaking engagements. And frankly, I think he's actually going to have more power than he did in the Senate because the Heritage Foundation funds all sorts of right-wing media like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. And we all know that the Republican Party takes their marching orders from those guys on right-wing radio. And so I think, this is a big promotion.
But
you've been in politics for how many years in your career?
I don't know, 10.
Okay, so I've been in it for 23. For my 23 years in Capitol Hill.
That's because you're older than he is.
But
I've never been a lobbyist.
Well, for 23 years, I don't ever recall seeing the President of the United States, the Vice President, the member of Congress I worked for, taking their orders from talk radio. So that's number one. Number two,
he doesn't have very good memory, does he?
So hang on a second.
I've seen people actually call into Limbaugh and apologize time and time again, Republicans.
This is almost like the Senate where you're doing a filibuster. Let me finish my point. With Jim DeMint, he's actually being principled, I think, in what he said or what he wanted to do as a member of Congress.
Turn it off.
He's in
so there it is. I don't know what the argument this guy that Ron Christie's
Sam,
trying.
You just owned him, by the way. That was hysterical. You're very rude. I'm much more. When I go on those shows, as you know, I'm much more polite than you are.
Oh yes. Nobody's more polite than me than Cliff Schecter at this point.
I loved it, man. That was awesome. Here's the thing. That first of all, you obviously got him so mad he had to throw the 23 years thing at you.
That is when that was so much fun. How long have you been in politics?
Because it's like he didn't go there to enrich himself, and you had your facts there, which was great. The guy, Fulner, the current president, made just under $1.1 million last year. Doesn't even count whatever he made for speaking fees and other things. I mean, what are you talking about?
Yes, how can you say he would be taking a cut in salary of $800,000 a year had he stayed in office? He didn't go to Washington to enrich himself. He went to Washington to enrich himself.
Right. And here's the thing on top of all of that. He's a crazed right-wing lunatic who I'm not even sure is actually as crazy as he's power-hungry. You can call that crazy if you will. Who, he's responsible more than any Republican certainly in the Senate. You could add in the Club for Growth and some of the other outside groups for, Senate nominee, self-proclaimed witch, Christine O'Donnell, for the legitimate rape brothers from Missouri and Indiana. He's what made these things happen so that the Democrats 2 cycles in a row where they probably should have lost the Senate have. And is now that same culture. DeMint, before he went to there, also has now already come out against Shelley Moore Capito in West Virginia, really probably the only Republican in West Virginia that could beat Rockefeller if he runs again. So they're doing it again. And she would be. She's ahead of Rockefeller in polls if those are accurate. This is a guy that has been a thorn in his own party's side because he's insane. He's going to, and so the perfect place for him, of course, is the Heritage Foundation.
So wait, let me ask you this. Do you think, and maybe you disagree with this premise, but if you think that a guy like Jim DeMint pushing the Christine O'Donnells and the fringe of his, well, it's not really fringe in a technical sense. I actually think it's the base and maybe sort of the not, within the margins, very much so, of the party, but empowering them. Do you think that this is a benefit for those of us who think that this is this keeps the Republicans in a permanent minority, or at least out of like you sort of broad national power? Do you think that this enhances his power to do that?
Going to Heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you made the point there, which is it's the think tanks and the talking heads. It's the crazy right institutions of conservatism these days that push their people into untenable positions, that turn these debates, as John Huntsman smartly pointed out, and said, looking on the stage, he thought half the people he was debating against were Fox News contributors, which I think they were. That basically has turned the whole thing into a sideshow because they forced people to take positions so utterly ridiculous that 10 years ago they couldn't have taken, but because of Fox increasing its viewership and playing to paranoia, and really organizations like the NRA we talked about before, the Chamber of Commerce and other, the Club for Growth and others. And Heritage, people need to understand Heritage. Heritage was founded, I know it very well because I've done papers on it, whatever, in 1973. It was founded as a right-wing political organization that would have sort of this fake patina of like scholarship.
It came out of the Powell memo. Out of the Powell memo.
Yes.
Lewis Powell specifically sort of basically said we need to have groups like this to push back against the environmentalists and the labor and whatnot. And it was all a memo that was commissioned by the Chamber of Commerce.
Right. In 1973 is your key year because in that same year you get ALEC founded, you get the Heritage Foundation founded, and I can't remember the other one, all founded by crazy right-wing, almost neo-Nazi nut who passed away, whose name I can't think of right now, and it's driving me crazy. I'm sure you'll know who it was. Who also worked with the Coors family to bring about the money for all these things. It's driving me nuts. I can't think of his freaking name.
Scaife.
Go ahead.
Was it Scaife?
It wasn't Scaife. Stay with me.
I can't remember.
I'm going to look at my Twitter to see if anybody sends, and I'm going to Google while. All right.
Well, but the point being that we know that he's going to be at Heritage. He's going to be pushing, and he's going to be pushing his agenda now. He gets paid at least.
There we go.
Oh, Ryrick, right.
It was founded by the same guy who found other politicized organizations. In other words, AEI, you can say what you want about it, and certainly it has many problems, and it's become very politicized, but it originally was founded in the 50s as an actual think tank.
Right, the American
Heritage Foundation was founded explicitly as a place to book people, get books written that would change, book people on TV, get books written that would change the debate. Essentially, an organization that was political, that would hide behind being a think tank and move things to the right. And that is what it has successfully done in this country, sadly, at least till recently, and certainly within the Republican Party, completely. So it would make sense that they wouldn't pick an actual scholar to go run it. They're going to pick a guy with bombast. They're going to pick a political guy, a guy who goes and picks fights with Republicans that aren't pure enough and plays to that right-wing entertainment crowd. I mean, yes, I think they're going to empower him with lots of money to now even go further. Who knows where they'll take it from here, and continue to go after people that are considered to be too quote unquote moderate.
Right.
Saxby Chambliss, who voted with the Republican caucus like 93 or something % of the time, but sometimes doesn't talk in really mean tones.
Great.
So that means he's a bad guy.
I love it. I hope they get. I hope to the extent that they have any power, it becomes so marginalized and so distant from the American body politic that we can then spend most of our time fighting against people like Cuomo. Frankly, I mean, honestly, that was.
Let's change the guys in our own party while they're destroying their own.
I think I said that 5 years ago, actually, when we were anticipating an Obama win. That I want to see a left center fight in this country be the central fight that's happening.
But 5 years ago, you'd only worked in politics for 5 years.
I know. I was so naive then. I couldn't. I wouldn't even been allowed to hold Ron Christie's coat.
You didn't have the certain sort of intellectual joie de vivre of a Ron Christie back then.
I wouldn't even.
But you're getting there, Sam.
No, I wouldn't even. The idea of even putting on a sweater vest and sitting next to Ron Christie, forget about it. Forget about it.
I think that's perfect. It ends where it all began.